Hello friends, we are back with another video. In today's video, we'll be talking about smallest remaining time for scheduling algorithm. In simple terms, if I have to explain you what this algorithm is, it's the preemptive shortest job algorithm. Shortest job first algorithm, we have already seen non-preemptive version. You can just go back to my channel and check for the video. This is the preemptive version of the shortest job first. So basically here what we are doing is every time a process is given CPU for execution, we need to exempt it after 1 unit and check if there are any more processes which are waiting with lesser burst times. So we are going to first serve the process which are having the shortest burst time and the process which have arrived. So let's get started. Here we have one problem with us. We have been given arrival time and burst time. So we'll start with the first step, that is drawing Gantt chart and starting with the arrival time 0. At arrival time 0 we have only process 1, so we don't have to compare it with any other process. Its burst time is 7, so what you need to do is you have to just give 1 unit for this process, okay, and check at time unit 1 if there are any other processes that have arrived with the shorter burst time. So here it becomes 6. So at time 1 we have process P2 which have come in, so we have to check its burst time. If you can see here, the burst time of P2 is 5 and burst time of P1 is 6, so we have to preempt P1 and go to P2 and execute P2 because it is having a shorter burst time. Again we have to allocate only one time unit for P2 and check if there are any other processes that have arrived at time 2 with the lesser burst time. So since this we have given one time unit, this becomes 4. Now at time unit 2 we have 3 processes with us, out of which the smallest burst time is with the process 3. So we have to execute process 3 here, and here the time unit will be added to 3 and 1 will be subtracted from here, right? So at time unit 3 we have 4 processes with us and the shortest burst time is of process 4, that is 1. So we can completely execute process 4 here. No need of any preemption because it just requires 1 and it finishes. So now at this particular time we have to check till time 4 how many processes have arrived and which one is having the shortest burst time. So if you can see till 4 we have 5 processes. Out of all these 5 processes, the burst time for P3 is 2 and P5 is 2, both are equal, right? So in such scenarios you have to go according to their IDs. That is, P3 has arrived first, so we will be giving chance to P3 first for execution. So this becomes, from 2 it becomes 1 and here it becomes 5, right? So now at the time slot 5 we have all the processes arrived, so we have to compare all the processes. Whichever process is having the lesser burst time, we will be considering that particular process. So in such scenarios we can directly jump to shortest job first. So when all the processes have finished, we can convert this algorithm to shortest job first. So now at the time slot 5 we have 1 and 1, so the shortest job, I already told you, the process which has arrived first should be given a chance or the priority. So here again P3 will be given a chance and the remaining time for P3 is 1, so we will be finishing the execution of P3 by giving that 1 unit to it and this will become 6. So now out of the remaining processes we will be giving 6, that is process 6 because that is the shortest, and P6 it also requires just one time unit, so I'll allocate that 1 to it and here it becomes 7. Alright, so now out of the remaining we have P5 is the shortest, so now we need not give preemption to it, we can directly finish its execution because there is no time quantum in this algorithm. That is the shortest that is possible in this, so we have to directly execute that process. So P5 I'm giving and the burst time required is 2, so it becomes 9, right? So this has become 0. make sure that you are keeping the record of how much burst time is remaining, because it becomes really confusing if you don't keep this record with you. So now out of the remaining two, the shortest one is P2, so I'll give time for P2, and it requires burst time of 4, so 9 plus 4 is 13. And lastly we have P1 with us, so that is 6 is remaining, so that's 19. Yeah, so that's your Gantt chart. You should be careful while drawing this Gantt chart. Again, if Gantt chart is correct, you can definitely score the full marks in the problem. So now we'll draw the table, that is the completion time we need to find out. So again we need to go from right hand side, because the processes have been preempted, so they are executed in slots, so we should always see the last appearance of the process. So here P1 is getting over at 19, so that's your completion time for P1. Next is P2. P2 is getting over at 13, so I'll directly write here 13. Next is P3. Where is P3 getting over? It's here, that's 6. P4 is getting over at 4. P5 is getting over at 9. P6 is getting over at 7. So those are the completion times that we have. The turnaround time, as we already know, it's completion time minus the arrival time. So 19 minus 0 is 19. 13 minus 1 is 12. 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. 9 minus 4 is 5, and 7 minus 5 is 2. Right, so waiting time is, I have already written also time, that turnaround time, that is this column minus the burst time. So 19 minus 7, you are getting 12. 12 minus 5, you are getting 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So that is your waiting time column, and now we have to find the average turnaround time, that is summation of all this divided by the number of processes. So it's becoming 19 plus, it's 12 plus 4 plus 1 5 plus 2. Entire thing divided by how many processes we have is 6, so divided by 6. I think you should get average turnaround time to be approximately 7.166. Kindly cross check the answers. And average waiting time will be 12 plus 7 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1. 0 I have not written there because the value didn't have any value, divided by 6, and average waiting time is approximately 4. So that's all. It's simple. Only thing, you should be in a position to draw the Gantt chart accurately. If the Gantt chart is correct, definitely you can get the answers. We'll solve one more problem in case if you have not understood the first one. So in this problem we have been given 4 processes with the arrival time and the burst time. So we'll be drawing the Gantt chart first. Okay, so again starting with arrival time 0, right? So at arrival time 0 we have only process 1, so we have to give chance to process P1. The burst time is 10, we have to give it only 1 unit just to check if there are any other processes that are shorter than them. So here it will be just 1. Next at time slot 1 we have 2 processes with us. So process P2 is having a shorter burst time compared to process P1, so I'll be giving chance to process P2. Again just the 1 time unit we have to give it to it, because we have to compare if there are any other processes coming in, and this becomes your 4. Okay, the next at time slot 2 we have 3 processes with us, out of which process 2 is having the shortest burst time. So again I'll give a chance to process P2, just one time unit, because there are still processes coming in and we don't know. Although you can see that there is less burst, there is not there are no processes with the lesser burst time, but being, if you are writing an algorithm, you should be solving it this way, just allocating it 1 and then checking. So here P2 is again given a chance, so this becomes 3. Okay, so at time slot 3 we have all the processes which have come in. So now at this moment we don't have to check for the arrival times, or we don't have to preempt any processes further, because now henceforth it becomes shortest of first. So now after at time slot 3 also P2 is the shortest one, so we can finish P2 completely without any preemption henceforth. So it is 3 plus 3, that's 6, and we have finished this execution of P2. So next shortest is your P3, that is 8. So here it will be 6 plus 8 is 14. Next we have is P1, that's 9 as the burst time, so 14 plus 9 is 23. And lastly we have the last process remaining, that's your P4, and its requirement is 15, so 23 plus 15 is 38. Alright, so that's your Gantt chart. Now we have to draw the table from this Gantt chart. The completion time for P1 is, again we should start from the right hand side, so P1 is 23, P2 is 6, if you can see here P2 is here 6. Next is P3, P3 is 14, and P4 it's 38. Turnaround time, completion time minus the arrival time, so this 23 minus 0 is 23, 6 minus 1 is 5, 14 minus 2 is 12, 38 minus 3 is 35. Right, so waiting time is turnaround time minus the burst time, so 23 minus 10 is 13, 5 minus 5 is 0, 12 minus 8 is 4, 35 minus 15 is 20. That's all, and you have to just calculate the average turnaround time and average waiting time, which we already know, just summation of all this 4 divided by 4. So I'll just the answers directly, you can definitely cross check it. 18.75 should be your average turnaround time, and average waiting time would be 9.25. I hope you have understood how to solve these problems. I have given one homework problem, you can solve it yourself from scratch, and have given the answers as well, average turnaround time and waiting time, which you can clarify or check with. Thanks for watching this video. Do subscribe my channel. Thank you.